rise up, standard price, the loss of legs. My occupation, in essence, not complacent. Block the banquet, stop the computation. I'ma make the coda, fools just wanna make the quota. They can't rock around here, they need baking soda. This a hydra, no way they taking over. Lay them below the basement with snakes and cobras.
This is Sean Crystal. Catch the Inkpulp podcast on PharcydeTV Wednesdays at noon Pacific time, 3 o'clock Eastern time. Come hang. Peace. This is the Inkpulp podcast. This is the Inkpulp podcast. Comics, hip hop, life. Welcome back to the Inkpulp podcast, part 5 of the Sean Murphy interview. I'm your host, Sean Crystal. Today we have a good discussion. This was the last bit of our almost the end of our conversation, but this is one I think is really worth having. Talking about artists who elevate the medium. I grew up in an era, I came into comics with The Dark Knight Returns, Watchmen, Mouse, and some other medium changers in American publishing. So I always look for those projects that change things, and it just seems like we're not getting those as much anymore. The big publishers don't seem to have a vision or room for any of it. There are a handful of great independent creators working hard to do so and doing some really interesting work. But it seemed to be coming up that there were opportunities and avenues at the bigger publishers to create a real piece of art, something that stood the test of time. I feel like everything the big publishers are doing is just throwaway material, but shut up, Sean, because this is what we're talking about on the episode. Okay? So listen, enjoy. And again, if you're a little lost, a little confused, you're picking this up here, listen to the previous episodes. It's all part of one conversation. Let me know in the comments what you think of this, because I want to be doing more and more of this, getting back to my roots as a podcaster. All right? Cool. Peace.
Who are the 5 artists who've elevated the medium the most in the last 20 years?
Ooh, that's an interesting question. I would just
repeat it on camera.
5 years in the last 20 years.
What?
Sorry,
I am.
20 years.
What do you mean on camera?
No, because I didn't.
Oh, Alan asked the
sorry.
What was the 5 most not influential?
The 5 artists who have elevated the medium the most.
5 artists who have elevated the medium the most in the past
20 years.
20 years.
So 2001, so 9/11 to now. Who's been?
I would have to put Asterios Polyp in there, because if you're just talking about the medium, it did things in ways the medium's never been used before. So I would have to put Mazzucchelli on that list.
But not a lot of artists I know in Artist Alley have read that book.
No, I agree with you. But if
Right.
you've read it, you know what I'm talking about. It's an impressive, just from,
Right.
Chris Starrs said to me, he was like, it is an, I forget the adjective he used, but he basically was like, for the medium, this is an elevating piece. It wasn't a critique on, it wasn't anything about the narrative, the story. It was just like, as an exercise in sequential art, this is the next level. And I agree with that. You don't. Okay, so who would you put on the list?
I think that what Maz did was important, and he showed if there's there's a horizontal scale of we go from here to here. He took one of those bars and moved it way out further.
Agreed.
Have you ever thought about art this way? You see the movie Soul, Pixar?
I haven't finished it, but yeah.
Okay, so to me that's like a little bit like what Maz did, where he goes, you guys think about art this way, I'm going to show you that I think that's valid, and academics and colleges and professors will study it forever. I don't think that it's struck enough of the culture
I agree.
to actually
okay.
make
That's
an
fair.
impact.
Academically,
Yeah.
then that's exactly how I would cage everything.
I agree with
just
you
said.
academically, but because
Yeah.
not a lot of people have read it or gotten all the way
Right,
through
but
it.
if in terms of elevating the medium, we have something that a newer generation can study to learn how to
Right.
do the medium differently.
Like that, I think Walking Dead is more important than that as far as every day in and out meat and potato comics. Walking Dead did more for us.
As an industry,
Yeah.
but not as a medium.
All right, we're splitting hairs. How is it?
Well, because, okay, the industry is how well the business is performing.
Right.
How well things sell, how much of popular culture are you affecting.
Right.
The medium is the craft, and the craft unto itself.
Okay, I follow you.
That's how I see it.
No, I don't disagree too much with that.
So that's why I put Asterios Polyp on it, because we were talking about the medium.
Right. Yeah, no, he moved. I agree with you academically. It was good that that book got done, but I don't know. It's like, to me, if John Bonham went into the forest and did some amazing drums and no one ever heard it, it's like, okay, a handful of drummers know that that shit exists, but most musicians are not even
Right,
paying
but if
attention.
future musicians are studying it
Right.
to do more with it,
Right.
then that's affected the medium.
That's fair, and I wish more people.
That's why I say why I say my answer.
And if I was teaching a course, I would recommend all my students read Polyp, Asterios Polyp.
Yeah.
Just to know how far the range has been.
And that's exactly why I put it on the list.
Right.
Because when I think about what's elevating the medium, I think about what books would I bring to a classroom.
Right. I would bring it in and be like, I'm so sorry, but you all need to read this.
Right. I didn't enjoy the read. As a narrative, it frustrated the hell out of me.
Yeah. Right.
But I was in awe of how it was unfolding.
Mm-hmm. So, Alan, given Sean's answer, my pushback, what's the right way to answer this question? Are you looking for an academic answer?
I really like the way both of you are answering.
Fuck.
It says a lot about.
This is why you like free jazz, because you can't commit.
No, he's saying we're capturing our personalities.
You're capturing your personalities, and one of the things I really like is that you're more concerned about the industry.
Right.
You're more concerned about the medium.
He's more concerned about himself. Go ahead.
I think. There's something we should talk about over dinner. I think that.
What did I do?
I think that you should both move ahead with that idea.
Okay.
You talk about the top 5 for the industry. You talk about the top 5 for the media.
All right.
Okay.
So I guess my answer will be more of a top 40, very clickable. If this was an article in.
But let me, as far as The Walking Dead goes, it did help Image in a way that it opened up creator-owned comics to be something they should have been and
Right.
are now.
Yeah.
And that elevates the medium.
Right.
So I understand that.
Right. So you have your top 5 ready?
No, I don't know that I'm going to have it in time for all. I'm just thinking of books that
Okay.
I've read that really
Right.
impacted
So I'll
me.
say I'm going to answer as if this was a BuzzFeed article. So I'm going to go a little more surface and just more entertaining.
Go for
I
it.
think Ryan Otley is the top 5 because his connection to Robert Kirkman, who did Walking
Wait, are we
Dead.
talking about top 5 artists now?
His question was top 5 artists in the last 20 years.
Oh,
Yes.
I thought you said words.
I
Okay.
said for artists, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I love. Ryan blows my mind.
Yeah, I mean, ability. A good human being is helpful and all that stuff on this. He could still be an asshole. He'd still be on the list.
He is able to skirt that line of hitting the bubblegum pop stuff.
Yeah.
But artists are also damn.
Artists love it. That book is a hard book to draw. There's a lot of asks that the writer had, like drawing explosions and laser beams and
Talking about
aliens.
Invincible?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not Invincible, sorry. And then the fact that that's been turned into a series that is really, really good, and that they've made it look like Ryan's art that's why, for me, for many different reasons, inside and outside of his control, Otley would be up there for me.
Yeah.
Top
Okay.
5.
That's a good one. Okay, so I got to restructure my thinking. I just was thinking of books I've read.
Yeah, that's your problem.
But you said Mazzucchelli, and I think that's
Well,
very
right.
important.
Well, yeah. I'm not going to retract Mazzucchelli. I'm just thinking. I think, Sean, honestly, I'd put you on there. I think you have excited a look in comics that caught fire when you stepped on the scene. I think you trailblazed a lot.
When I started, I remember a lot of people, whether they knew it or not, swiping my stuff, and I'm not offended by that at all. I think I used to swipe Jim Lee, and it's cool. And if I can be responsible for getting people into heavy inks, traditional brushes,
No doubt.
Zipatone,
I'll give that to you.
and like a punk rock twist, then I'll take it.
I can't tell you how many people because of Inkpulp Instruction, because of the podcast, and through cons, come up to me and they're like, "I love inks. It's you. It's Murphy. It's Mateo. It's Eric." They mentioned Dan in there, and it's like there's a small. I mean, now you put James Herron, Daniel Warren Johnson on the list, but it's growing now. But it was a much smaller pool that started with you coming in, and we were all kind of in the crew together. But you caught fire, and that really kind of like people who, like you were saying, can't articulate what they love about art. They're not artists. We're now becoming very seduced by what we were all doing with ink.
Right. Yeah, it was sort of getting back to basics on raw inks. And I didn't really think I was doing anything new. I was just bringing my favorite stuff, like the way that Ashley Wood inked, or Zafino, or Gene Colan, and some of the looser stuff, and Nolan. Like and I'm not being falsely modest, I just was taking the greatest hits and spinning it through my filter. Like, people are like, "Oh, you use fingerprints for rendering. You invented that." I'm like, "No, Sienkiewicz did it before me. Cavemen did it before him."
Right.
It's not thank you, but really, it's fine. Yeah, I don't know. I appreciate that, but I think that's giving me too much credit, because I'm spitting out the best that I've
There was
collected.
a shift. I mean, you're talking about the bigger picture of the industry and how the artists affected the industry and the medium. There was a shift.
Right.
There was a big shift when you hit it. That definitely happened. But yeah, the past 20 years, you mentioned a name we have to put on there, Bill Sienkiewicz.
He was important back in the 80s.
Yeah, but okay.
For me. I mean, he always deserves
I forget how old
royalty.
I am.
So for the last 20 years, I'm going to go.
Right, okay.
I'm going to go
That's
Bruce
fair.
Timm.
Yes.
Even though he was
without a
more
doubt.
90s with the Batman animated series, his legacy lasted from the last. He was so impactful in the early 2000s with Justice League Unlimited and all that stuff. And he got
No doubt.
Darwin going, and there are so many children of Bruce Timm out there, myself included, to some degree. I think Bruce is a massive influence art-wise, and how it
No doubt.
with animation
No doubt
and
at
stuff
all.
too.
And he came into comics and showed everyone how it's done too.
Yeah.
Don't forget, he won an Emmy and an Eisner for the same story the same year.
Yeah.
For Mad Love.
Yeah.
That no
But you can
one's
interview
done.
him, man.
I don't even know him. I'd love to get him. Are you kidding me? It's like,
I wish I knew him well enough to contact him, but I don't.
yeah, no.
So we have Otley. Well, I have Otley and Bruce Timm.
I mean, I'm agreeing with you. I guess we'll compile it together.
You said me. I'll accept that.
Okay.
So who are these other two?
You said Mazzucchelli.
Well, you said Mazzucchelli.
Okay, you're not gonna get on board with me on Mazzucchelli. All right.
Last 20 years since 9/11.
Okay, and we should be thinking outside of America. We shouldn't just be doing America, right?
Yeah, of course. So you said we should not be so Western American focused.
I'm just saying, like, we
Yeah.
shouldn't just be limiting our thought to it.
So I'm answering on my radar is generally Marvel, DC,
Right.
comic shops in 48 North America. I mean, the guy that drew Jazz Maynard is amazing.
Yeah,
His name is,
I have his stuff.
Bernard something.
Yeah.
I forget.
Bernard's the last name, isn't it?
Blacksad.
Gornito.
Juanjo Gordino is insane. Mm-hmm. But that's a whole other list for me. I'm just sort of focusing on the local guys and girls.
Okay.
But mostly guys. Who else? We got three. Man, now you're going to see a lot of pausing and editing.
No, there's no editing.
You got anyone in mind?
We're going to sit in some uncomfortable pauses. Well, I mean, how old is Bone now?
Bone was done in the 90s, but I mean, you could talk
Bone
about
started in the 90s.
Yeah, but it came in.
I think Jeff Smith could be in there.
Yeah.
We'll go Jeff Smith.
Yeah, I think that's an important one to put in there.
Yeah. I'll go Jeff Smith. You got me into Bone.
Did I?
Yeah. And you got me to read the book. It was a slight dick joke. Didn't quite work, but whatever. Here we are.
Just fell flat.
It's the whiskey.
All right. Well, look,
Oh, wait, number 5.
we need a 5th one.
Yeah, just to end the list.
Is there a...
Throw a name out, Alan.
You know what I'm going to add to the list? Stuart Eminem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he could do those giant Marvel stories so fucking well, and then do something like Next Wave, which is so alternative.
Yeah.
And I'll put him on there.
Yeah. He's so good at adapting at different styles.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I've never met him, but I imagine he's got multiple personality disorder because he's able to...
I met him. He came to SCAD. He's just the sweetest, quiet guy. Yeah.
Of course he's sweet. It'd be easier if he was an asshole.
Right.
And I could have a reason
he's
not
sweet.
to like him.
He's just always drawing. It's just like everywhere we went, he had a sketchbook and was drawing.
Right, yeah.
And in fact, like one of his drawings of me at a lunch ended up in one of his published sketchbooks.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Did he draw you with those glasses?
No, this is BG. Before glasses.
Nice.
All right, so
Aggregate his irritable also.
Okay. Yeah.
all right, let's close this chapter down because you got another one to explore. And we'll do it in a second. Thank you for watching.
This is the Inkpulp Podcast. Comics, hip hop, life.